I never had a job. I was always entrepreneur I had a job because of the acquisition. I got forced, of course, to do the post-merger integration, but I can't be hired because I need to make my own dreams happen.
Hello everyone and welcome to Entrepreneur Insights, a podcast brought to you by Julius Bär. I'm Hannah Wise, a business journalist and the host of this series where we meet some of Switzerland's most successful entrepreneurs. Today's guest grew up on a farm in rural Switzerland but has ended up building one of Europe's fastest growing AI platforms for financial services with over 50 million raised from angels and VCs. A serial entrepreneur and a builder at heart. It's great to have you here on the podcast, Manuel Grenacher. Thank you for coming in.
Oh no, thank you very much for having me in.
So I'm going to let you do all the explaining as to what you do, because you're the CEO and the founder of Unique.ai. What exactly is that?
So as the name said, we are unique. No, of course. We built an agentic AI platform specifically for the financial service industry to help financial service, mainly advisors in the front, to just do a better job and a better service for their end clients by really equipping them with, let's say, a virtual workforce of people helping them to get the job faster done.
So how long have you been around for then?
So we started 4.5 years ago, a little bit even before the entire ChatGPT hype. Mm-hmm. We had the pleasure to grow up with a few financial service providers here in Switzerland and did the first proof concepts and really understood the challenges that financial service companies have in the administrative work, after a client meeting or before a client mm-hmm. meeting, and that fascinated us to help, how can we make this more efficient?
So what made you think that a project that you could build here in Switzerland, but also on a farm here in Switzerland, could actually compete, with Silicon Valley?
Yeah, from the farm, I built my first company that I were able to build as a global platform for service, for customer service mm-hmm. that got acquired by SAP later on. That I really started out of from a farm during my study time.
So you were quite young then?
Yeah, I was quite young. I never had a job. I was always entrepreneur I had a job because of the acquisition. I got forced, of course, to do the post-merger integration, but I can't be hired because I need to make my own dreams happen. But yeah, there I just grew up in an environment with small SMEs left and right, and I was always in love to how can I help service companies to be more efficient with technology, right? That was kind of my drive. And we grew this company, we grew also global, so I was always passionate to go into big cities and, mm-hmm. get these big logo brands as clients, and being the small company get into big enterprises. And we sold that company, then we got a little bit cash, and my co-founder, CTO, and myself decided invested again, because 5 years ago, we realized that those, back then we called it transformer. It was not the large language model. It was more pre-trained models that we already realized, okay, that potentially will change how we use software. And then we started the business.
So it was that was the niche that you spotted?
It was more the niche was later on, because we realized that technology will change how we work with software. What happened when we look today, we chat against the software. We don't have different screen anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was in this SAP world, where you have these very heavy screens with thousands of fields. And we realized that maybe in the first time in software, you will become or you have software that really do work for you. And you not just fill in fields and then maybe you get a report or not. It really do work for you. Like in the beginning, like translate, summarize. These like wow, right? In the first steps. Now today, of course, much more. But back then, it was like already a wow effect. And we knew, okay, this is a very horizontal technology, where we have an opportunity to make it vertical. How we make that compliant, how we make that secure enough for an industry. We didn't know which industry, but financial service was for us clear this is the biggest home market. So, and always when you build a software company, you should have a large home market. It's not your final destination, but it's a good starting point. And that's why we started to talk to financial institutions, figure out their pains, and then started to build the software around with this technology.
Okay, and I probably should be a little bit transparent here with our listeners and our audience to say that obviously you've worked with us here at Julius Bär building our own in-house AI system. So how do you see the financial world changing because of AI? Because right now I'm at stage one. I am translating and I'm summarizing.
Yes.
Where could this go for finance?
I have to say that most financial service companies, at least in Switzerland, are on that stage, right? Let's call it, we are in this chat area, right? We chat against information. As you said, summarize, translate, maybe give some idea about, text and content. But that is, in the end, a faster retrieval of information. What will change now, we will move into an agentic area where we use those systems to do work for us. So I would say in the chat area, already a translation is a task, right? It works, right? But it's maybe a task of an hour. In the area of agentic, you will see that AI do task for you. A team is working maybe 3 days on it or 2 days on it, so where you really have a lot costs. And because I always say that chatbots are a little bit, it's an energy drink. It's not a painkiller, right? It helps you, but you could do it. You could do it yourself, right? To be honest, even sometimes I have the feeling we spend more time with AI to write an email than to rewrite it.
Sometimes,
you know what I mean. So it is cool. It helps you, but it also makes you a little bit. I don't know. It makes you a little bit lazy,
Yes.
But where we focus on is really think where can we help end to end on workflows or end-to-end processes that are very very expensive to run multiple times, and replace those workflows through AI end-to-end. Of course, always with a human in the loop, but these are the interesting work we can help companies to become more efficient.
And especially so in finance, you think?
Yeah. Especially in finance. Just already simple work like a relationship manager need to meet the client, and the client has a very complex portfolio. How you prepare, how you get all informations together in a report that is precise, compare against the target of the clients versus benchmarks and all the information of house views. Usually, if you really would love to like to prepare very detailed, you spend maybe a half day or even a day, and you ask different people for the information. Such work we can do in minutes now. Of course, you as a human, you're still responsible. You still look through, maybe you check certain sources and you have a feeling if it's right or not. But you bring maybe a day work down to a few minutes.
So you're obviously based here in Switzerland, and you obviously have a great home market, especially when it comes to the financial sector. I asked you at the beginning, what makes you think that you can compete with what's going on in Silicon Valley? Maybe I can come back to you at that. I mean, do you have competitors in this?
We have. AI is competition pure.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my co-founders in New York. I just come back from, just landed Saturday from New York, and even the difference between New York and here is just crazy. I mean, you can't go in underground in New York anymore with get not bombarded by cloud ads and older competitors, and it's like the entire city is AI, right? And billboards everywhere. So you breathe AI, right? And then here.
Are we sleeping?
Not sleeping, but we're all on the same level, honestly. And explain to you later why. So, but that inspires me, right? AI is a huge opportunity for us here in Switzerland. Why I believe we have a right to win from Switzerland is we don't build horizontal solutions. That's an American game or a Chinese game. They have the capital to do that. We don't have the capital here and the investor network to do billions of dollar investments to build a horizontal platform like we know from OpenAI or from Anthropic. This is a $100 billion business, right? Where we are strong is in the vertical, understanding clear problems in a certain industry or even a sub-industry. We focus even more on wealth in financial service and solve that problem. very, very precise. That's where we can win. And there is a huge white space because those horizontal solutions, like we know from ChatGPT, they are good, but you have to do let's say a financial service workflow, like let's say KYC, client onboarding with a complex environment. You have to do all this integration in these different backend systems. So this is very, very engineering work, and you have to make sure that the quality is super strong. And this is something that those providers don't do, because they love to sell their technology, and the vertical edge partners are usually doing.
Okay, so how do you get your investments then?
So for verticals, you get investments here because you need a fraction of what you need to do a horizontal player, because you make faster money, and you have usually also more sustainable clients. Because look what happens on those platforms. You switch. If OpenAI is cool, you will OpenAI. Tomorrow we go to Claude. If Gemini comes with something new, you go with Gemini, because it's so easy to change, right? Our business is different because we have not only the technology and the solution on top to deliver, we also have to build the team. The team needs to understand the client's processes. We have to be compliant. We have to be where the client is and so on. There are a lot elements to really provide the service on that quality you expect, right? And this gives us on the other side also certain, let's say, stickiness that we can grow with the clients. And this is really doable out of Europe, I'm totally sure.
So what are you doing in New York then?
We have to grow also. I cannot survive as a global player only in Switzerland. I mean, survive. I could survive, sorry, but I cannot become a multi-billion-dollar company and grow, to a North Star when I would stay here in Switzerland. So that's why from day one we decided to open an office in London, open an office in Berlin, New York. Now we won one of the largest clients in Singapore. So then you become a global company, but the roots are here in Switzerland, and we will stay here in Switzerland.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about the growth of the company, because obviously you have got big ambitions there. But coming back to what Switzerland has to offer, is there talent here in Switzerland to support what you're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, the talents are here. Of course, it's a fight around the talents, but I do this now over 20 years, startup in Switzerland, and it's so nice to see how it develops, right? I mean, today I can say I even get people, are interested to work for us coming from Google. 10 years ago, that not happened. Everyone, went to Google. And thanks to Google and others, we have those talents now in Switzerland that also people think like, hey, we should start our own startups or join scale-ups here in Switzerland. So we have now a network, right? It's not Silicon Valley, I agree. But we should be proud of what we have here in Zurich. And we have ETH, we have university, people are attracted to come here. It's hard to find the people, you find it. I guess it's harder to find the people in Silicon Valley or even in New York if you are not super funded, right? So of course, if you are Anthropic with 100 billions of investment, you are attractive and you pay salaries like crazy, like Google back then or Microsoft. But we can't. We have good salaries, but we have not the same funding power. And this is easier here in Zurich than in USA.
But are you worried then that the talent that you nurture and grow here will be tempted?
Absolutely. This is always happening. But if you build a strong culture in your company and your people become also shareholder of the company and have a dream, this culture is an American culture, of course, but this culture you can build here too.
I wanted to ask you about the growth of your business. How many employees do you have currently?
So a little bit over 120 now.
And this is across all four of your major
let's say
hubs?
main office is still here in Zurich. And then we have like smaller teams, as I said, in the different cities meanwhile, yeah.
And you want to be a global, huge business.
Yeah, I mean...
What is the main goal for you?
My dream was always to build a public company. Not because going IPO, it's more like a company that stays... Because I got twice acquired, it's always nice, but it's something like, then you see your company is getting into this big company and then like, I really think we should be proud enough to build a company here in Switzerland that remains going public, where people like to work for, where people like to invest, and partner with, like a brand that stays. And that's at the moment our dream, our North Star. Hopefully we go public in the New York Stock Exchange or whatever, but it will be a Swiss company.
Okay. And what kind of timeline are you working on?
Wow, I mean, the dream is always 5 years, but it could also happen that this goes longer.
Okay, so there's no pressure. You're not putting any
Exactly.
pressure on yourself.
Even it takes longer, but I think we should be on that track, that we believe we can go once public. And I learned that from my previous company. I always had this kind of dream, but I never pushed it, when I hired people. And then over time, I even figured out that when I expanded to US, as an example, I even moved to US with my family, I started to realize that certain people in my leadership team, they didn't want that we become a big company. They love to work for a small company. And I needed to learn this is our Swiss culture, So, and then you get into I would say not in a conflict, but in a strange situation.
Yeah.
And that's why when we started Unique, we said from day one, we go to Mars, right? We really want to build a public.
So people know this from the very beginning.
Exactly. Your job is also not only make our clients super happy and our employees, it's also building the enterprise value that we can raise enough money to do the next round, so that we can grow fast enough to go public one day.
Have you been to Silicon Valley yourself?
I stayed 2.5 years. Lived in San Francisco. Yeah. So I was in the center of 2016 to 18, 19 around. So prime time.
And how do you think about that? How do you compare working here with what's going on there?
I love America because they always have these incredible big dreams, and they really make it happen.
The American dream is not dead, that's for sure.
That gives so many inspiration. I don't like everything, but that someone has a big dream and the people don't question it, they just go. Versus here, we have always like, this will not work, So that makes, you need a lot of energy, because you hear, sometimes I hear 1,000 times a no. And so you need to be strong to survive that. It's mainly on the investment side. Now it's a little bit easier because I have to say, if you're a serial entrepreneur, it's potentially a bit easier to raise money. But you remember in the first day when you say, "Hey, I want to build a software company in Switzerland," everyone say, "What? Are you crazy? Why you not go to US?" So so you have to fight.
And just on the funding, I mean, we talked about it in my introduction, it's all through angels and venture capitalism.
Yes.
So why did you go that route? Is that the only viable route for you, do you think?
So building a software company, you have to go into the upfront investment because you have first to build the software, right? You have to build the technology. Like you would build a house and then you rent it. So you have to build it. And that needs a lot of cash. And you don't get it from a bank, because they don't know that model, right? So you have to go to ventures to get capital from VCs or from angel investors. And I also have to say, to build a public or let's say a global enterprise software company, you need hundreds of millions. You can't do that from your own cash flow, in my opinion. That is possible if you are a consulting firm or something between. But if you want to build a software company or a technology company or especially an AI company, to provide a service as a subscription, you have to do the upfront investment. Yeah, that's only possible through venture capital.
And where are your investors? Are they Swiss-based or are
Not
they
anymore. I mean, I started with my, let's say, investors I had in my previous company, but meanwhile, my main big investors are outside of Switzerland, from Germany, Commerce Ventures, Commerce Bank, and DN Capital from UK.
Okay. Just getting back to, the US-Swiss difference, there's a couple of things I wanted to pick up on. I was asking you earlier what you thought of, the difference between how things are done there versus how things are done here. What do you think Americans think about your business and what you're doing?
So look, for Americans, in my business, AI, we not exist.
Okay.
They are busy with their own world. I mean, they think in trillions now, not in billions anymore, right? So you see the IPOs, 1.5 trillion and so on. This is ridiculous. But look, this is a big thing that happens. This is like a big technology shift. Our job is really now focus and help financial institutions to really use this technology and get the right efficiency and business cases in play. And we need to find a way to partner with these US technologies because we can do it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And even I see it as a risk if we not. I see Unique as one of the companies enabling Swiss financial institutions to use the greatest and latest technology from US, because currently we are behind, much behind. Because in US we have already so-called frontier models that US financial institutions use to do agentic workflows. We don't have these models here in Switzerland. We are still on the level of GPT-4o or so, 4.1, right? Those models are not capable to do complex tasks. And Swiss banks usually don't send their data to US servers, right? So we have to work hard that we also get those models here in from US here in Switzerland. And that will only happen if we consume enough, because otherwise none of the US big players will bring a model to Switzerland because there's no market. Mm-hmm. And they think in billions, as I said before, not anymore in millions. So we have to make business cases that are big enough so that AWS, Microsoft, or any one of those, or Google, will build infrastructure here to serve such a model. So
you're not just building an AI solution, you're also building the market.
We have to build the market together.
Yeah.
Because there is no JP Morgan maybe a UBS could help here to drive more, but it needs to be clear on Swiss ground, we have no frontier model. And we promise all most of my clients promise their end users or end clients, we keep data in Switzerland, right? And now we have a conflict. We have not the best models anymore. Mm-hmm. That means financial institutions outside of Switzerland, in Europe or in the US, they have an advantage because they have the better models. And this is not clear to everyone. And this will remain when we not start to enable agentic AI at scale here also in our country.
Could I push you further? Is this all about being able to take risk?
Of course. I mean, it's a big risk. We can go not out of business, but we have a huge disadvantage to compete against other financial institutions if they adopt faster. It's not only the technology. You have to see it's about upskill your people, understanding to build the governance around, how you control AI in your organization. This is not happening overnight. This is a transformation. And if you wait and wait and wait, you have two problems. You cannot change your people quick, and you might not find the talents anymore because they work for companies. They already went through those, transformations. And I think it's bigger than we all think. And that's why I'm always travel a bit between US and here, because I need to keep this pressure, myself, so that I influence my clients to move faster.
And keep Switzerland
because
in the conversation.
Because I hear sometimes from Swiss clients, we are not first mover, we want to wait. Fine, but that may help you, but it doesn't help our marketplace. As I said before, because we need a certain consumption, otherwise nobody brings us a strong model.
Okay, and what would change that for you?
Look, to bring us frontier model, it's an investment into a few hundred millions, okay, for one of those providers. Why they should do that if nobody consume? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we have to build the demand. And if you just consume for a few hundred million, then why it's not a business case. Like those bigger providers, they, as I said before, they want to see a billion dollar business case. Otherwise, why they should build a foundation like a data center at that scale, right? It happens in France, as you heard. They do a big investment, like I think it was SoftBank together with a few billions into a data center with a gigawatt energy supply. I mean, energy is another problem we also need, right? So it happens in France.
But not here in Switzerland yet.
So far not.
Yet.
Okay. It will happen, of course, but we need to be sure we accelerate it enough, right?
That's wonderful. Manuel Grenacher, thank you so much indeed for those insights. It's wonderful to meet you.
Thank you, Anna. It was a pleasure.
Entrepreneur Insights is a podcast brought to you by Julius Bär. Check out our other episodes online now.